Welcome back. All right, so continuing on with my season previews, we are now looking at the Colorado Avalanche, as evidenced by the magnet in the upper left-hand corner. These are all bumper stickers, by the way, just that I've converted into magnets. So another cheap way of, coming up with nice looking magnets. So the Colorado Avalanche, a team that has looked like a contender during the regular season, just fine since they won a cup in 2022, but come playoff time, they have stumbled. And it is definitely a question now of, is this team truly a contender and where do they sit in the grand scheme of things? Now, the last 2 years, they've been knocked out by Dallas. And we'll get over to that when we get over to their playoff history. And Dallas, of course, a very good team, but Dallas has their own question marks. So I don't know that there's a team in the Central Division right now that we couldn't ask some valid questions about what we might expect from them this season, both regular season and playoffs. Now, their top six is impressive. So you've got Lehkonen, you've got McKinnon, who is, I think, their best forward. You have Natchez, who is looking for a new contract, and he's probably going to play pretty darn well this year, his first full season in Colorado. Now, one question mark for me is Landeskog. So, Gabriel Landeskog returned heroically in the playoffs from his injury, and there were valid points at time, or during the last few years anyways, where questions could be asked about whether or not he'd ever play again. And he seemed to be in a holding pattern where he'd be out, he'd practice a bit, he'd be on his skates, and then he'd be off his skates again. And they'd say, well, there was a bit of a setback. Now, he did come back in the playoffs. He looked good. I think a valid question can be asked, though, as to whether or not he's going to play a top six role and if he's going to play every game or if they're going to control his minutes just to make sure he's all right. Is he truly 100%? It's a valid question, too. So we'll see how Landeskog plays. But then you got Brock Nelson, who did not exit the team, as Charlie Coyle did, in order to make some more cap space for themselves, and they needed that. There's still enough cap space here, too, that it's possible Colorado makes a move, but we're almost through the downtime of the summer, and we haven't seen anything yet. But the Charlie Coyle trade definitely opened up some cap space for them. Nichushkin is also top six, and there are always questions with Nichushkin about, whether or not he's going to play all 82 games. And if you're a Colorado Avalanche player, it's a valid question. For instance, Logan O'Connor. Logan O'Connor is going to be on IR to start the season, and the question then becomes, so when he comes back, is he a bottom six or a top six forward? And that remains to be answered as well. But they do have the depth in order to absorb the loss of O'Connor for now. The bottom six features Parker Kelly, Ross Colton, Yoel Kiviranta, looking to follow up on that 16-goal season with at least something similar. Prishapov. I'll be interested to see if Prishapov plays a prominent role in a bottom six capacity or not. And Drury, who they were very much high on when they acquired him from the Carolina Hurricanes. So Drury's going to get every opportunity to play hard in that fourth line. And, of course, Ivan. Used to be Ivan, but now it's Ivan. So that takes some fun out of it for me personally. But it's a good forward group. And once O'Connor's back, it's an even better forward group, right? Now, for depth, you've got Tynan, you've got Fellhaber, you've got Steinberg. Gushchin has been added from San Jose, so he might get into some games. Gavin Brindley, of course, was picked up from Columbus in that deal for Charlie Coyle. Poland, Bradley, Bardakov, and Taylor McCarr. Be interesting to see if Taylor McCarr ends up getting into any games this year or not. I would think preseason you got to get him out on the ice with Cale Makar, right? We'll see what happens there. Now, the blue line is, I think personally, one of the best blue lines in hockey. I do. And it starts with Taves and Makar at the top. Devon Taves had a very good season. Again, not a surprise. Maybe not as strong as some of his previous years, but still he's a very good defenseman. Cale Makar is arguably, and I say arguably because it's been an argument this summer, the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. And when you say that, that leads to arguments. But Makar, I think, is one of the best pure talents I've seen on the blue line in my time watching hockey. So that says something there, in that I've been watching hockey for a depressingly long time. Gerard and Manson should round out that top four. Malinsky looked good this past season, though, and adding Brent Burns from Carolina does give them a little bit of a different look offensively from the blue line. and I would expect Burns to probably get some time on the special teams unit, probably second power play. But we'll see how things go there. Now, in terms of depth, you have Keaton Middleton, you have Ashawn, Ammett, Addard, McDonald, Barons, Weinstein, either way, and Gagne. Gagne just signed today, as I'm recording this, by Colorado as a free agent after not signing with Tampa when his NCAA career came to an end. So it's good depth on the blue line, like there's good depth up front, and Colorado, as I previously mentioned, a team that due to injury very often needs to rely on that depth quite a bit. Now in net, if your last name has Wood in the name, well, you're probably one of the top two, Blackwood and Wedgwood. And the transformation in Colorado's goaltending when they moved out Annunen and they moved out Georgiev and brought in Blackwood and Wedgwood, it was night and day. Absolutely night and day. And Blackwood got an extension out of it. Wedgwood, I think, has had a nice long career. After at points in time for Wedgwood over the last however many years, there have been times where he has not necessarily been the most effective of a backup goaltender. Then they have Minor, they have Posh. Those are two goaltenders they have on their depth chart. Trent Minor got into some action this past season, so he's still the number 3. I would expect he could see some action if a goaltender gets hurt this year for Colorado. For an MVP, I picked McKinnon. I think Makar's a good idea as well. But I'm going with McKinnon because it does feel like everything kind of revolves around him. I think maybe that's one criticism you could make of the Colorado Avalanche. Maybe in terms of star power, they may not have as many as some of the other contending teams. And so if you're up against Colorado, you just need to control McKinnon and Makar. And you might have not an easy time of it, but an easier time of it. And they may not have as many explosive scorers and elite players as some of the other teams that they're competing with out west. Now, the one to watch, I picked Landeskog. Now, for me, it's because we want to see whether or not he's going to play every game, how well he's going to play in the games he gets into, and what the upside is for Landeskog being back in the lineup. As in, does he end up with a 20-goal season? Does he get 40, 50 points? What are we going to see from Landeskog? Will he be effective but not a point producer anymore? And if he's not, then that would probably force him into a bottom 6 role, and then who would take that from him? Would it be a returning O'Connor that ends up in a top 6 role? And if O'Connor pushes his way into a top 6 role, would it be Landeskog that would drop out of it? So there are a lot of things with Colorado. I'm going to be interested to see how things turn out this season, and definitely the whole Landeskog story is a big part of whatever's going to happen this season for them, good or bad. Over the last 5 years, Colorado is the second best record in the National Hockey League. Over the last 4 years, since 2021, 2022. So 21, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 years. It's 5 years when you get to playoffs, 4 years for regular season. And they're number 2, record of 206 wins, 97 regulation losses, and 25 losses in extra time via overtime or shootouts. They are a very good regular season team. We know this. That's the reason that the channel vote is optimistic as it is, right? Now, their top 5 scorers over that last 5 years, led by McKinnon, not a surprise, 297 games, 157 goals, 298 assists, 455 points. So McKinnon more assists than games played. McDavid's in that category, and when I get Tampa, I expect Kucherov's going to be in that category as well. Mikko Rantanen, 286 games played before he, of course, got traded to Carolina. 158 goals, 207 assists, 365 points since 2021-2022. And that offense is expected to be replaced largely by Necas. And so far, Necas has looked good in that role. Makar, 294 games, 96 goals, 238 assists for 334 points. Taves, 304 games, 42 goals, 159 assists, 201 points. So scorers 3 and 4 on this list, both being defensemen. And then you got Nichushkin, 212 games played, 91 goals, 95 assists, 186 points. Nichushkin just needs to be in the lineup. That's the key thing. He's got to, make sure that he's in the lineup. And this is a team that, if they can stay healthy, it'd go a long way towards maybe a division title, right? Now, for top prospects, this is a team that's been at the top for a while. So the one that I picked out is Mikhail Gulyayev, but we'll see. We'll see if we end up with more young players being in. Obviously, Brindley's over here, Brindley could be considered a prospect, but once you end up in this part of the board, I'm not putting a person on the prospect list because they're already on the board. So Brindley might be the most talented player who has yet to really, put their stamp on the National Hockey League stage. So does Brindley end up playing for Colorado this year? What kind of role does he end up jumping into a top 6 role as needs arise? This lineup should be very interesting this year. So their record this season, 49, 29, 29, 4. So that's a solid record for them, 102-point season. Their scorers this year, very similar names to what's up here in terms of their scoring over the last 4 years. McKinnon leading the way again, 79 games, 32 goals, 84 assists for 116 points. Great season for McKinnon. Makar, 80 games, 30 goals, 62 assists, 92 points. Makar is an elite defenseman. Rantanen, before the trade, he was pretty high on their scoring list, and even by the end of the year, he is still number 3 on their scoring list. 49 games, 25 goals, 39 assists, 64 points. I don't expect Natchez to make anybody forget Rantanen, but he can definitely make that a little less of a death blow, as it were, for the Colorado offense. Then you got Lehkonen, 69 games, 27 goals, 18 assists, 45 points. Lehkonen's become a very productive forward. It's been nice to watch because he's always been a hard worker, and now the numbers back that up. Then you got Devon Toews, 76 games, 10 goals, 34 assists, 44 points. So 2 of the top 5 scorers, once again, defensemen for Colorado. I would expect that to continue this season. Now the goaltenders, they used 6. It is unusual for a team that finishes as high as Colorado did in the standings to use 6 different goaltenders. Blackwood went 22, 12, and 3 with a .913 save percentage. Those numbers are pretty good. Wedgwood 13, 4, and 1 with a .917 save percentage. Georgiev 8 and 7 with an .874 save percentage. So that's where it's kind of ouch. And Annunen 6 and 4 with an .872 save percentage. The interesting part is Colorado still had a winning record with those 2 as the goaltenders, but you could see this tremendous difference in the team and in the numbers when Blackwood and Wedgwood were brought in. Miner went 0-1 in the appearances he made with an .879 save percentage. Kakkonen got into a game or two here, 0-1 with an .800 save percentage in his time with the Colorado Avalanche. So of all these goaltenders, the only ones left are Blackwood and Wedgwood. So, Miner as well. Many apologies. I am tired. I've said it in recent videos, but it is true. So the channel vote is pretty positive. 65% of the channel say first or second place for Colorado. I concur. 31% say third or fourth, and 2% pick fifth and sixth, and 7 and 8th because, sure, it really doesn't make a difference. I did see one person taking credit for, I voted all these 7th and 8th. Cool. If there's over 10,000 votes for a lot of the teams, it really doesn't make a sizable difference. Now, over the last 5 seasons, and this is where, if you're an Avs fan, this is where the frustration kicks in, right? So 2021, they lost in the second round in 6 games against Vegas. And that was the storyline, was Colorado wasn't able to get out of the second round. But then they did in 2022, and they went and they won the Stanley Cup. And it felt like that probably wasn't going to be the end of it, that they might win another. But in 2023, in the first round, they got eliminated in 7 games by Seattle in an absolute shocker of a series. 2024, it's the second round where they lose against Dallas in 6. And this past spring, they lost in 7 against Dallas, this time in the first round. So avoiding Dallas might be a key thing for the Colorado Avalanche come playoff time. At the very least, having that confidence and that ability to take your game to that next level. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Now, looking at the numbers, their power play, 24.4%. That is 4th this past season in the NHL. Very strong numbers there. Their penalty kill, 79.6%, 14th. So they're going to want to bring that up a little bit. Their goals for, 3.53 per game. That was 2nd overall, so great scoring. And their goals against, 2.86 goals against per game. That was 9th. So once again, after some tough goaltending early in the season, they fixed that with moves that were made. And now that's not really a concern for Colorado. They have a very good tandem. They're a pretty strong team. So the cap space they have is $2.1 million. And GM, Chris McFarland, has some work cut out for him a little bit here. Do the Colorado Avalanche go out and look to make another ad before the season starts, or are you better off going with this lineup into the season, and then you accrue more cap space during the season, and maybe you make a big splash around Christmas? Coach Jared Bednar, I think Bednar's here until he decides he doesn't want to be anymore. I can't foresee a situation where Colorado would fire him, understanding that almost every coach has been fired at least once in their lives, but it feels like in Colorado, that Stanley Cup in 2022, and just the strong play of this team during the regular season, I think makes him pretty safe in his job. Another early exit from the playoffs could change things, but I'm not necessarily expecting that. So their schedule is pretty balanced, and it's not like earlier today I did the Rangers video. They had a month with 16 games, 2 months with 15 games. Colorado has 1 month with 15 games, and outside of that, it is, as I said, pretty balanced. So in October, 7 of their 12 games are away from home. In November, 7 of their 13 games are away from home. So that's 14 of the first 25. And they're 7 of their first 12 are away from home in October, and then 7 out of 13 are at home in November. So let me reconstruct my brain here, recalibrate. There we go. So that means that it is pretty balanced between the home and the away. And that continues into December and January. Both months it's half and half. Like both months they play 14 games, and 7 are at home and 7 are away. So we're not seeing a situation with Colorado where they have these months where 10 out of 14 are on the road, or 10 out of 14 are at home, meaning you're going to have a road-heavy part of your schedule outside of that month. So I think this is a pretty good schedule for them. And then in February, 4 out of their 5 games are at home. So they could go into the trade deadline with a pretty solid record. Now, March, 9 out of 15 games are away from home, and in April, away from home in March, and in April, 5 out of 9 are at home. So a little more than half at home in April, and a little more than half, it's 9 versus 6 in terms of them being away from home in March. But compared to a lot of the other schedules I've looked at, and at the very least, this being the fourth one I'm looking at, this one to me is the most even, where I'm like, you know what, that's reasonable, and we don't see a month with 16 games, and we only see 1 month with 15 games. That could be a benefit come playoff time, to not have had maybe as many back-to-backs as others, maybe a little more balanced of a schedule than others as well. I really do think that Colorado should be a top 3 or top 4 team in terms of Stanley Cup chances. I know that the last time I looked, I didn't see them in the top 3 or top 4, but they should be. This is a team that has everything they need up front. They have Cale Makar on the blue line, and they have very good goaltending in both Blackwood and Wedgwood. So is this the year that Colorado finds themselves in a Stanley Cup final? Is this the year that they make that breakthrough come playoff time? There's an argument to be made that both Winnipeg and Dallas could fall back this year with the offseason changes that have happened. So there may very well be a spot at the top of the Central Division open for the Colorado Avalanche to jump through and grab it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. What do you expect from Colorado this year? That kind of thing. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It is greatly appreciated. And so tomorrow it'll be Boston and New Jersey that I will be doing season previews for, teams that are not under the same amount of pressure as Colorado. And does the pressure make a difference? I think that's a valid question too. Maybe that pressure just gets them at times. And if so, where does that blame fall? Does it fall on the coach? Does it fall on training staff? Does it fall on the players themselves? Let me know your thoughts as always. Thank you guys so much for all your time. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.